Hello, this is Spellbinder Report. I got more headlines from Unfiltered News by G. Edward Griffin. I won't get through all these, so you'll have to go here anyways and check out the rest of the articles. But this is how it goes. You can see the picture there, Obamacare. Gotta love it. Obamacare, fast, convenient, and affordable health care. And you gotta wait for days. Yes, sirree. We'll have more of that coming. Wait till you see some of these headlines. These are just headlines. When you click on them, it takes you to the article. And it'll be down in the description box when I'm done. I'll make sure when you go down and find my description, the two chevrons, you'll be able to read these. Go there and read these articles. But these headlines, I want to make comments with them too. This is how it goes. U.S. Giant rocket lifts off from Vandenberg Air Force Base in California carrying a secret spy satellite. The third of 6 are planned. It is believed that the new satellites will be capable of reading car license plates for tracking you. Yes, they want to track you. They're just coming out in the open saying, we're going to track you. We're going to know everywhere you go. Pretty soon we'll just put a microchip in you and track you that way. And you're going to love it. Being a slave for the New World Order of the United States and the world. Again, here we go. U.S. Congress has introduced a bill to repeal the ban on incandescent lights. By 2012, compact fluorescent lights save energy, but they contain toxic mercury and are a potential health hazard when broken. Yes, and 2 things you didn't know. One is, the incandescent bulbs, when they get rid of them, these bulbs here that you're getting for about $1 a piece with the mercury in them, the fluorescent compacts, they're going up to $5 to $6 a piece because there's subsidies the government's been giving the light bulb companies to keep the price down until this passes and all the incandescent bulbs are stopped made. Yes, sirree. And another thing, don't drop them on the floor and break them and call the 1-800 number on the side, for hazmat will come out and charge you $2,000. It did that to a lady who dropped one in her daughter's bedroom on the wooden floor. It cost her $2,000 to have them come out and clean that up. That's how bad that mercury toxic is. Chinese President Hu, speaking in Chicago, says China is not a military threat and also denied that his country has a one-child policy. Well, that settles that, doesn't it? Sure, he wouldn't say anything that wasn't untrue. Australia, global warming myth makers claim that recent floods are the result of so-called climate change. Here is the historical proof in this article that such claims are pure bunk. These charts show that floods of this magnitude are not unusual for that area, and in fact were more common and severe in the 19th century. See, they're lying to you. It's like the Mississippi. It's overflowed several times. 1927, 1973, and 1996 come directly to mind when the Mississippi overflowed its banks, flooding out. People keep building in those lowlands around there where the flood zones are. That's not climate change fault. There is no climate change, and there's this solar activity in cycles. Man, when will they wake up? Spain, the government is pouring freshly created money into banks in hopes to ward off an international bailout. Billions of euros in previous bailouts have been ineffective. As always, the influx of money out of nothing will create even more inflation for consumers. U.S. FDA is investigating a possible connection between flu vaccines and 36 seizures in young children that occurred within 24 hours of receiving the shots. Don't expect much here. The FDA is more of a partner to the big pharma than a regulator, and likely will find that the problem was not with the shots in general, but a bad batch or some other temporary condition, or that the number of adverse reactions is too small to worry about. So keep those kids coming for more mercury and squalene. It's good for their brains. It makes them stupid so they'll believe anything that the TV tells them. U.S. Supreme Court has denied hearing case in exposing corruption by lower court federal judges. That's right. The Supreme Court won't even listen, so they're accomplices in this crime. The proof against them is so clear on these lower courts that no one even tries to deny it, yet the Supreme Court has refused to hear the case, which has the effect of releasing them from conviction and at the same time condemning an innocent man. Goldman Sachs earnings fell by 53% in the fourth quarter and 37% overall in 2010. Due to the reduction in bond trading and investment banking. Investment banking involves acting as an agent for the companies that needs to raise capital from investors. However, its own investing and lending segments showed a larger profit than last year. This so-called profitable sector is the same one that was bailed out after suffering huge losses from high-risk loans. It's easy to show a profit when your losers and our losers are covered by taxpayers, that is. That's right. Goldman Sachs has 475 secret elite partners who stand to reap a windfall from 38 million stock options that were granted to them in 2008. Options allow the holder to purchase stocks at a stated price, usually at very low, in anticipation of the stock being much more valuable in the future date. This method of compensation often is concealed from the public because it does not show up as salary or bonus. Among these are the benefits of former Treasury Secretaries Hank Paulson and Robert Rubin are going to rape money out of this. Obama has been repealed in the House. Obamacare, right? No, it's not going to pass at all. Or actually, it is going to pass. Don't worry about it. Obamacare is there. You're not going to get rid of it. Obamacare has been repealed in the House, but likely will be sustained in the Senate or the President, so this was largely a symbolic effort. Most Republicans want to reform parts of the new law instead of abolishing it completely. Neither the right nor the left in Congress has any intention of repealing Obamacare because they stand to collect an extra $345 billion a year with the new tax provisions. That's why we support state nullification. You should too. U.S. 26 states have joined a lawsuit filed by Florida to challenge the constitutionality of Obamacare. This is a good sign of public opposition, but contains the seeds of its own defeat. The lawsuit says Obamacare is unconstitutional because it forces Americans to buy health insurance. However, if that provision is struck down, all the other provisions would remain, and the funding would come from taxes and inflation instead of premiums. This has the appearance of opposition, but is without real effect. If the states are serious about abolishing Obamacare, they should simply nullify the whole thing under the 10th Amendment. How come they're not doing that? Ireland's central bank begins printing euros. That's right, euros out of thin air to cover its debt. This will have the inflationary effect on the rest of the EU countries. This seems strange, but appears to be not much different than having the money printed by the EU than shipped to Ireland. It's all just an accounting trick anyways. U.S. air travel at the Baltimore and Washington airport declined to accept a full body scan. So this air traveler but was forced to walk through the machine anyways. He believes it was a psychological move to show that the opt-outs cannot claim a victory over their authority. That's right, TSA, the people that can't go and flip a hamburger but can do this job of harassing the public, and the Americans can tell you how to do and what to do because they're gods, don't you know? That's what they believe in their heads. Did you hear about that? Hawaii, natural farming using compost and earthworms have doubled the yield of small farms in just 2 years, and no pesticides or herbicides or chemical fertilizers are needed. There was a 30% decrease in water usage. That's right, don't you know it takes water to saturate that dry fertilizer and stuff? That's right. Even though most of us are not farmers, it is important that even city dwellers know that chemical fertilizers and pesticides are not necessary for our food supply, and neither is putting fluoride on them. I've had a story about that today. Overpopulation time bomb is a myth. According to the several recent scientific studies, the problem with global hunger is not that there is not enough food, but that the distribution is hampered by a holdback in technology. That's right, they're holding the technology back that could feed every man, woman, and child on the planet, and they won't give it out because they want Agenda 21. City of Camden New Jersey lays off 17% of its employees, including police and firefighters, who warn that the city will become a living hell. Public safety workers and unions refuse to make job-saving cuts, and the state is unable to bail out the city again, as it has for the past 2 generations. That's over 20 years, people. My golly. And guess what? You better get buckets and for your fire brigades, because you're going to need people doing the real fire brigade thing to put out fires now. And you better get guns and ammo, because you're going to need that to protect yourself. U.S. Department of Agriculture provides a $12 million secret bailout to Domino's Pizza in a bizarre new partnership. The announcement proposed to promote a cheesier pizza. How's that for the proper function of the state? My God, I can't believe they're bailing out Domino's Pizza with $12 million. Won't they bail out some people that lost their houses? No, let's give it to somebody that should go broke if that's the problem. Chief climate scientist at NASA calls for a Chinese-style dictatorship to fight global warming. That's right, you heard it here. They want the dictatorship here so they can make you pay global warming taxes and have a dictatorship in America. His laments that the democratic process allows voters to obstruct the process. Is anyone surprised the global warming myth is merely an excuse to establish a global dictatorship? And this fellow is just confirming it. That's all he's doing. And that was in the Washington Times. A study from the University of California found that all the pregnant women that were tested were contaminated with toxic chemicals, many of which have been banned in the U.S. for decades. The source? Plastic, toys, personal care products, and pesticide residues in food that is imported from other countries. Even though the ban in the U.S., they can be imported with no problem. In addition, many toxic chemicals are still allowed in the U.S. from China, who gave us other things. Other poisonous toys and things, lead in the toys and everything. UK, a single mother who was temporarily paralyzed by a fall was told that her 2-month-old baby, which was being well cared for by her sister, was to be put up for adoption by social services. The caseworker claimed that, with absolutely no evidence, that the mother may have been suicidal. The case has dragged on for 18 months after the mother's total recovery. This is the only case, but the details are painfully reminiscent of many similar cases that occur in every collectivist nation of the world where children are considered to be property of the state. That's right, when you get a marriage license and stuff, your child becomes the property of the state when you have them. Here is a list of the top 10 prescription drugs linked to violent behavior, including homicide and suicide. Most are antidepressants and attention deficit drugs. Incidentally, these are some of the most highly prescribed drugs in history. Instead of outlawing guns, how about outlawing these poisonous chemical called prescription drugs that cause madness? Ooh, too much money to be made. That's why marijuana is not legal. They can't make money off of it. Here is an article that contains astonishing excerpts from the Air Force documents describing how the HAARP installation in Alaska, a high-frequency active aurora research program, may create weather modifications as a weapon. When they speak of nanotechnology and particles in the atmosphere, be aware that most efficient methods of putting them there is through aerosol spraying from aircraft. We call them chemtrails. Montana is considering Sheriff's First legislation. I think this should be nationwide, requiring federal agencies like the IRS, the FBI, and the ATF to get written permission from local sheriffs to perform searches and seizures. Actually, it is nationwide, but the sheriffs don't enforce it. They've been told they don't have any more power. The U.S. Mint reports buying frenzy of physical silver within the first 12 days of January. Gold sales also have jumped. Ironically, the spot price of silver and gold dropped significantly shortly after this announcement. It appears that those who manipulate the market are making a last-ditch effort to push the demand back down. They do this by selling bullion contracts, not the bullion itself. If buyers decide to demand physical delivery, the game is over, and the speculators who have done this will be wiped out. Here is a list of the tax hikes that are in Obamacare. It's one of the largest tax increases in American history. Check that out. I'll leave links to the rest for this in the description box underneath the video, and you'll be able to read the rest of these BOHICA headlines. That's right, bend over, here it comes again. They're raping us. U.S. Patriot Act that allows the government to conduct warrantless searches, monitor private computer records, tap phones and calls, prevent you from knowing who you're being spied on, and wide support in Congress is expected to be renewed this month with little or no debate or fanfare. That's right. I have to go now. This is Spellbinder with Spellbinder Report. Read the rest of this. Be good at it. Good day.